Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the High Frequency Kicks podcast, available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey, everyone, we're doing a podcast.
Wow, it's the first episode.
It is.
That's cool.
How's it going, Sam?
I'm doing well because it's the first nice day of the year. I'm so happy.
We had a couple nice days here, but it was it felt like summer today, not spring.
Same here. So it was really, it was super nice, and I almost burnt, I put sunscreen on for the first time. It was crazy. Yeah.
It's a big moment for you.
I guess we should explain to people about how you live in Montreal and I live in the Winnipeg.
That's probably a good point. So yeah, we are not in the same city. This is a long distance podcast. We used to live in the same city until about a year ago. So yeah, I live in Montreal. Sam's back in Winnipeg.
Or maybe we should tell people I live in a cooler city.
Like temperature wise, you mean?
No, like a cooler city. I live in Vancouver.
Oh, you mean lie?
Son. Yeah.
Okay. But I guess let's do a really quick, brief, just introduction onto both of ourselves and what we're about and why we think we should have a podcast on martial arts.
Well, I can answer that question first.
Go ahead.
Because I've been recently told that everyone and their dog has a podcast. So I'm like, okay, well, that means I'm qualified.
Who told you that?
I don't want to say. A friend of mine.
Tell me after the recordings, just so I know.
Okay.
I'm really curious.
With someone who's not a fan. We already have a hater.
Do we already? Oh wow.
Yeah, that's how you know you've made it, I think.
You get hate mail. That's the bar.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. I'm excited for the hate mail.
Okay, you introduce yourself first.
Sure. So, my name is Thomas. I've been doing martial arts for the best estimate about 20 plus years now. So started my base in martial arts is in Taekwondo. I've got my fourth dan in Taekwondo, and beyond that, I've done a lot of training in various other styles with a lot of other teachers. Mostly met through my original instructor. So I do some kung fu styles, do a lot of various weapon styles. There's some Filipino Eskrima and Kali styles of martial arts. That's where a lot of my training has taken me in. I'm doing right now trying to do a lot of kind of trick, theatrical stuff. So a lot of tricking and fancy kicks, getting back and doing my 540s and stuff like that. But that's my experience. That's where, how long I've been doing martial arts. So I think I've got a decent grasp on the whole thing.
Maybe we should talk about that first instructor, since that's how we met. Oh no, that's not how we met.
No, it's definitely not how we met. But good try. We'll circle back to that. How long have you been doing martial arts, Sam?
Okay, I've been doing martial arts, I like to say give or take, for 15 years, since it was broken up a bit, so I'm not quite exactly sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started when I was about 8, and now I'm in my early 30s, so yeah, long time. Yeah, also have a very mixed experience with different styles and whatnot. I like to always explore different things and incorporate those different styles into my training, and then also diving a little deeper recently into more flashy stuff for on-camera work, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Which is really cool. It's kind of stuff that I kind of want to do as well, but it's a lot of work, and I'm working towards trying that as well. But it's muscles. A specific type of muscle as far as martial arts is concerned that I haven't used in a while, so it's taking a while for me to get back to that.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience that way, and and also it's easier for me since I live in the Hollywood of Canada, Vancouver Island.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you're. I was gonna say, do you? But then I remembered that you're lying about where you live.
Well, I have to anyways for when we get stalkers.
True.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Winnipeg's, I mean, where you live is very small, so easy to find you.
Shh. I'll kick your ass. Don't stalk me.
Let's go back to we talked about how we met and our training and our instructor.
How we met.
Yeah, how we met. High school. No, that's done.
And then, okay, so we already knew each other from high school, and then eventually he just like wandered onto my martial arts turf.
No, hold up.
Okay, so I was just minding my own business, getting trained, and then this noob walks into the school, being all like, "Me too," and I'm like, "Fine." So then I showed this young whippersnapper the ropes, and he is forever grateful. You're welcome.
I feel like I think we need some citation on that story. Some.
No, that's.
I don't think that's how it worked.
That's how it happened.
I do vaguely remember a couple like taking, because I started around when I was 10, I think. Master Sonny and I tried to actually figure out exactly when I started at one point, and we couldn't quite get like an accurate, like 100% guarantee this is when it was, because I mean, there's no documents from that time anymore. Like all the sign-up stuff from there is gone, so we don't know exactly. But from what we can tell, we're pretty sure I was about 10 years old when I started. And I vaguely remember seeing you a couple times in class. And we were never in the same class because you had been doing it for 2 years by that time. And then you just stopped. And like I never talked to you in class. I just saw you and never really registered that you were a person until high school. And I remember seeing you and being like, that person looks familiar. I have no idea why, but they're familiar. And then years later, after high school, you come back to the school and rejoin. And it took me a few moments to realize that random person that I like vaguely remembered crossing paths with years ago as a child was you, which I always found was really funny.
And then you mean that wise woman that taught you all the things?
I mean that weird kid that always wore the gloves to her elbows that were like rainbow colored.
I had those?
Oh yeah, you did.
I don't remember that. Like Avril Lavigne?
Yeah. Yeah, like the fingers cut out. Did like the long gloves. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so cool. Thomas wanted to hang out and eat lunch with me at the cafeteria.
I didn't eat in the cafeteria. I was in the computer lab every time.
Shh, but I wouldn't let him because he was lame.
Anyway, we should probably talk about martial arts at some point.
Yeah. Hang on. We should shout out where we met. Iron Fist.
The school.
Let's shout out Iron Fist.
Absolutely. Well, that's talking about martial arts, isn't it?
Yeah. So since this whole podcast is starting in quarantine era, Iron Fist is currently via Zoom. So if absolutely anybody wants to join,
it's a good time.
Shoot me a message. But otherwise, when we reopen the city and whatnot, come and check out Iron Fist. Woo!
Yep. We should really mention the address if we're going to do that. Do you have the address on hand?
I actually don't know it by
I don't
heart.
know the address of anything. I don't know how to get places. I don't know places and addresses.
It's on Marion Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's not hard to find it at that point. Marion between Archibald and Lage. There you go. You can find it.
Yeah.
We'll put in the description of the YouTube video the actual address because neither of us has it on hand. Also, I do want to give a really quick shout out to a buddy of mine who helped with coming up with the name for the podcast. Because when we were coming up with names, we were tossing ideas around, and I was talking with my friend who threw out the name High Frequency Kicks, which is obviously what we went with. So it's a quick shout out to my buddy Shane. Thanks to him for helping me come up with the name for the podcast, because everything I had was not as good.
What were the other things you had?
Don't remember, but I remember they weren't as good. I figured for the first podcast, as you mentioned, we're starting this in quarantine era with COVID-19. It's a good time to start projects. I think things like this, like podcasts and any art projects, are great right now. People need, I think art's a great thing to have. The arts are getting us through this weird moment in history. And so I think people need, something to listen to, something to entertain them, and something to do. So this is giving us something to do, and hopefully someone else something to listen to. And I wanted to talk about really the effect that COVID is having on martial arts in general. There's a couple of different aspects on it. But firstly, we can talk about our training and how our training has been affected and what's changing with that. You mentioned that we're doing Zoom classes now, which is really, it's a weird concept for martial arts, I think. Like, it's definitely a thing that I don't think is going to catch on. Like, it works in very select niche markets. It's definitely, it definitely doesn't work as well in the Zoom format. But there are some pros and cons I've kind of noticed doing classes over Zoom. As much as it is a single person sport, it's also very communal, and you totally lose that aspect of it over Zoom, because you can't see what anyone else is doing and learn off of people and feed off of people and help each other out, really. Yeah. Well, and as a teacher myself, I mean, the number of times that, it helps me to be able to physically interact with that person that I'm trying to teach. And, I can say, punch to this area, punch to the solar plex, or punch to whatever. But being able to actually help someone, guide them, and be like, hey, your fist is here, I want it here. And little things like that help me to physically interact with that person, make it that much more effective, make it that much easier to teach. And it's difficult when you don't have that. Even as a student, I mean, there's so many times where I want to be like, hey, can you look at this and help me with this? When I can't, when we're doing classes with our instructor, with Master Sunny, trying to get that input, it's weird having to do it over a Skype call. Because I can't, it's very difficult to try and do the thing, and a lot of times it's either on my laptop or my cell phone, and trying to, grab, hold the phone, whatever I'm using to do the video and show what I'm doing is not really feasible. So it really changes that dynamic of how much, nitpicky criteria or work you can get both as a student and as a teacher.
Yeah, for sure. But I wonder too, because I know that he, for quite some time, has been training with his instructors over Skype, right?
He does,
so he's already been doing this for quite a while.
He does, but he also, Master Sunny will go and visit his teachers, or they'll come and see us and do seminars, and he has his train time with them, where they can do that physical one-on-one interaction. They give him things to work on, and then they go however many months before seeing him again. So in those spans, he has those things to work on. I can do the video calls to kind of touch up things, and so they can see, like, they had the physical interaction, they did it together. Now we can, like, kind of get little fixes here and there, and then in a few months he'll see them again, more physical interaction. Like, I don't think you can fully take out that physical aspect of it. It's very difficult. But
yeah, it's rough. And even too, a big thing is even just camera angles. Like, if your camera's just on a weird angle, like, everything you're gonna do looks compromised from the viewer's perspective. So, like, even if someone's correcting you, you can say, like, here's what you're supposed to be doing, but you don't really know how to correct them 100% because you're seeing it not you're not getting a genuine view of how someone is doing a technique.
Right. I mean, I've had that problem just trying to take videos or photos of my forms or whatever I'm working on, and I'll set up a camera or my phone, usually if I'm out at the gym. I'll set it up to take a video of some kicks and some combos that I'm doing, and even if I'm just doing basic combos and I know they're good, like, it's like I'm just doing a basic side kick, and I'm doing a high side kick, doing like a waist level side kick, and I look at the video and be like, well, that was like garbage. What is going on here? And I do it again, but I put the camera at a different angle, and I do the exact same thing and say, okay, well, now that looks really good. and just that angle, knowing how to position that angle can be either very deceptive or leave things out a lot if you don't know what you're doing. So it's definitely a challenge to figure out that, how to do that properly. And it's going to take some time. Right now it has to be done. This is how we have to train. We don't really have an option if you want to keep practicing.
Yeah. So it's definitely best case scenario. Like at least we have this. It's not, could be worse, could be over the phone. I know that our morning class started over the phone before everyone started getting into Zoom.
Did it? That was obviously before I hopped in.
Yeah, they started, they were doing that for a couple days before the Zoom thing kind of blew up.
I don't even want to think about how you do it that doesn't make sense. No.
I know. It was a horrible story that I was listening to. It was not good. And then, but I thought I do notice some positives to it.
Sure. Like what?
Like the first one being, I'm going to get all emotional here. Is that now you can join us for class.
I can. I have missed my Winnipeg crew.
It's like, because it's like, there's Thomas again, and and Manuel, right? And
yeah. I mean, I definitely want to. It is something I want to keep up with. After this is done, to a certain degree, keep doing a certain level of these video calls with you guys, because since moving to Montreal, obviously, my training had to change a lot. Like, I didn't have the school. Like, I have a key to the school in Winnipeg, and I could just go whenever I wanted to, and I could train. And I always had that option of like a physical space to go to decompress, to do the art that I've grown a passion for. And moving to Montreal, I don't have that anymore. I had to find new ways on my own. There is a school here that is associated with our school in Winnipeg. Nothing wrong with it. It's a great school. They're very focused on competitive aspects and tournaments, which is great for me. I haven't been really in the tournament scene in a very long time. It's a great school, and if you're in Montreal, Chung Lee's the Chung Lee School is an amazing school, and I was going there for a while when I first got here because I moved out here before my wife did, because she had to finish up things with our house in Winnipeg and a bunch of other stuff. So I only had a couple friends in Montreal when I moved here. The move was pretty unexpected, so I mean they weren't expecting me. They had lives. They had things that I couldn't always just be like, running over to their place and hanging out. So after work, and this school is actually right next to my office. So after work, I'd go to the school, take the metro back to my place, and that was basically all I did. I had nothing else to do. But also their schedules for classes that I can do are really late in the evening. So I would leave my office, go there, kind of sit around and wait for a couple hours, then do a class, and then get home. So I get home by like 11:30 at night.
Oh my God.
So for me now that, my pets are here, I'm not living in an Airbnb anymore. My wife is here. To do that schedule of like, finish my work, sit at the gym for a couple hours before doing my class, do my class, and then get home by 11:30, it doesn't work with my life. I mean, I got my pets to deal with. I got to come home. I got to deal with them. I want to see my wife at some point in the day. So, unfortunately, going to that school doesn't work with my schedule of my life right now. So I had to find ways of training on my own, and I found, it's requiring a lot more discipline on my own part. And I'm finding that it's going to be interesting when this is all over, because I think the students who actually took the time during this COVID moment in history to train, once the schools reopen and everyone goes back to the schools, I think you're gonna go to teach class and you're gonna see immediately which ones trained and which ones didn't. And I have in mind right now.
I'm also gonna be making a bigger effort not to let any of the kids touch me.
Yeah.
Like, don't give me your COVID.
But
kids are dirty, okay?
Oh, they are. Yeah. I'm not arguing with that.
Maybe I'll just be meaner, and then no one will want to give me a hug and that kind of stuff.
Toss them all into a tub of Purell.
That's right.
But that's been my training for a year. Is I've had to, force myself to get myself up in the mornings. Like Saturday morning, I taught the Saturday morning class in our school at home for years. I don't remember how long. So I've been used to getting up at, and before I taught it, I was doing the class. So I've been getting up at 9 a.m. or no, I was doing a class at 9 a.m. and I'm up by 7:38 for however many years. So here, without that structure, I found not doing that was weird, and I was just kind of, I guess anxious is the right word. It's just antsy, like there's something weird, there's something missing, and I had to get back into that routine of Saturday morning. I don't have a school to go to, and it's Saturday morning, and more normal people sleep in, but I'm gonna get myself up out of bed and go train. And either
that's good.
Go to the gym upstairs in my building, or there's a park right next to me that I can go to practice in, and it's just having that routine for myself has been great. And so I had that leg up on other people come COVID. That other people had to find new ways to train, and I was kind of already there.
Yeah, and then it's good that you were able to do that, because it's very hard for people to to discipline themselves. Yeah. No accountability like that. And I especially know that I have conversations with other entrepreneurs about this a lot, because even just building a schedule just so that, because it just in general makes you more productive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Even just for that reason alone. Yeah. So the fact that you were able to do that's really cool. Because it's that's a tough thing for anyone
to do, for anything. For anything you're doing, martial arts is obviously what we're relating it to. But for anything you're doing, having that set time to do that thing is super important.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, that was my other pro that I kind of noticed doing everything over Zoom, was that I can actually attend more classes because I'm not working as much. Mm-hmm. Very little. I still have stuff to do, but because it's just at home and I turn on the computer and go, I can attend more classes. So I've actually been working out more than I'm used to. Mm-hmm. I do 2 classes a day, and then I also do. I know a couple other people doing classes online, and I've actually had time to. I've taken a couple of dance classes and yoga and stuff like that. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually have way more time. I'm going to come out of this thing so ripped.
I've seen some of your pictures of some things that you're doing. There's the picture you posted a couple days ago. I guess it's from your yoga stuff, where you're on your hands and your feet are out to the side, and that's an impressive move to do. It's a lot of core strength. So it definitely shows that you're, the training you're doing.
Yeah, it's get to try out new stuff, and it does help me with martial arts stuff, because it's totally gives me a new way of looking at doing things, and it helps to incorporate into my regular routine, which is primarily martial arts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I take back the ripped thing though, because I realize I have this giant Reese chocolate bar next to me. No 6-pack for me. But yeah, brought to you by Reese.
Don't.
Oh.
I don't think that's true. We're not. They're not sponsoring us.
That'd be sweet though.
No, that'd be horrible. Think of how much chocolate we'd get if they were sponsoring us.
That would be great. That'd be a dream come true.
On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, we would not be martial artists anymore.
I'm definitely eating a lot of junk. I don't even care.
I've been really trying to work on my diet. Like of the things that I do for training, I think a lot of things I do pretty well. Cardio is not my favorite thing to train. Forms, I'm great. I love doing my forms. I love doing,
right. Same here.
Well, what?
Same here.
Cardio or forms?
No, forms, because because I know you're one of the only other people that actually like to do that. Every time I talk to somebody, what's your favorite part of class or aspect of your training, and everyone just loves to mention how much they hate doing forms.
Oh yeah, we should.
And I'm like, it's the best.
We need to do another video on that some other day. But
yeah,
I was thinking about that too actually a few days ago. But yeah, like I like doing my forms, and doing your forms really well and properly is a good exercise, and it does incorporate cardio if you do them well.
Oh, speaking of, I did a did a social distancing workout with Kelly today.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another black belt. And so we were outside on the lawn because it was a beautiful day and everything. But it was the first like hot day in the city today.
Mm-hmm.
So we were running a one-hop kendo form, and I was teaching it to her because she kind of forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, yeah, I just did it a few times, and I was so winded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not out of shape. I've definitely, I do stuff every single day, like a couple hours every day I'm working out. And then like the first hot day, it was just brutal. But yeah, just doing those forms is a lot of work in themselves. And then in the sunlight.
Especially on properly. I find that too about the one hop. So again, what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I mentioned Kung Fu styles. The main Kung Fu style that Sam and I do is called one hop Kwendo, which is an offshoot of the Kaju Kembo style of Kung Fu, for those who are interested. But
they're not.
They might be. I'm curious about your thoughts on how training and how martial arts is going to change post-COVID. One and part of the reason why I thought of this is one of the Taekwondo groups that I follow on Facebook was posting about potential changes to Taekwondo tournaments. Because those are going to have to change. There's going to have to be some new changes, and one of the things they were talking about was possibly having competitors wear face masks. And so there's a picture of two competitors in their red and the red and blue sparring equipment, and each had a corresponding red and blue face mask on as well. And so it's just talking. The whole thing was just talking about different aspects of what's going to have to change in tournaments post-COVID. Once everything opens up and tournaments start going again, it's not going to be immediately safe to just do everything like we were. And especially with tournaments, and if you're sparring, if you're in a clinch and you're an inch from that other person's face, what's the risk there? Or especially for things like the electronic scoring gear, right? The electronic gear is usually provided by the tournament, whoever's running the tournament, and so because they have to make sure that there's all the same make and model, and it calibrates properly to the system and all that stuff, so they can't have just anyone bringing in their own electronic scoring gear. So often it's brought in by the tournament, which means it's shared by competitors.
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be, and you know this. We've together run, I don't know how many tournaments.
Don't remind me.
We've done a lot of tournaments, and it's a lot of process, a lot of work, and a lot of things to remember and to keep track of, and especially because for us, we tend to be running the tournament and coaching in the tournament, and sometimes competing in the tournament at the same time, which is a lot of things to keep, a lot of balls to keep in the air, and keeping track of gear. There's always provided gear for people that don't remember or get lost, or kids that for whatever reason need extra gear. Keeping track of that alone is a task, but then keeping track of, okay, who's had this one, who needs it next, okay, we need to clean it, we need to make sure this is done, it has to be done on time for the matches. That's going to add another level of complexity for tournament runners.
Yeah. When you say face mask, do you mean like the one you wear to the grocery store, or do you mean like a a fencing cut?
No, like the ones that wear at the grocery store.
Okay, so here's the problem with that is it's insanely hard to breathe with those on.
Yep.
Yeah, so when you're sparring, that's like one of the heaviest cardio experiences I've ever had. It absolutely is a sparring match.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so now like, let's make it harder to breathe.
Right.
Like, so that's a huge problem.
That's
so it's
a huge problem.
In my head, I'm thinking, get a fencing mask. Now you can breathe, and now you can hit in the face.
Well, no, you can't though. No, you can't though, because headshots are a thing. You can't hit that thing's made of metal. You're not going to have someone hitting a metal fencing mask with their foot.
It would be great as like a spectator.
Yeah, sure. I think you're missing the point here. But
Make your point.
But that's dangerous, and that's how you cut your foot up and stop doing taekwondo forever. But that's part of the point, though, right? Is like, if we're gonna have, if we're gonna present tournaments going forward in a hygienically friendly, safe way that people feel comfortable and safe doing tournaments, we have to keep that in consideration now. That people may not want, someone an inch from their face breathing into their nose. So we have to take that into account. But how do we do that in a manner that isn't going to be making the tournament, making the sparring match that much more difficult? Like we shouldn't be making changes that make it, that much more difficult for the competitors. But health has to be kept in mind now more so than we were before.
But maybe it will leave room for forms to take a more dominant role at a tournament.
I agree. I mean, form people, like you're saying before, people who don't think about their forms, and that kind of goes to the wayside. But people, as much as I love forms, they're never going to be as exciting to watch as sparring is. Yeah,
but I with all those problems to consider, it's definitely gonna.
Things are going to have to change. I'm curious to see how they're going to do it now that the Olympics are moved back by a year. I'm curious to see what's going to happen at the Olympics. That's going to be really interesting to see. What policies do they put in place to keep the competitors safe?
What was that one that they were planning on still hosting when all the lockdown started? There was something coming up.
Was it the Olympics? Olympics was this year.
Oh, maybe it was the Olympics. I thought maybe it was just like a different country's version of the Olympics or something. But I guess I could be mistaken. But yeah, there's some drama because they're insisting that, oh no, we're still gonna go ahead and do that. But it was like the dumbest idea ever. Like that's the worst event to not put on hold because it's all these people coming from different countries congregating in one area. I think
it was the Olympics. I remember when it first kind of when the virus first started being noticed outside China, there were the Olympic Committee was initially not going to postpone or cancel the Olympics in 2020, and then as it started getting worse and ramping up, the decision was eventually made to postpone to next year. The 2020 Olympics are now the 2021 Summer Olympics. But
where is it hosted this time?
Tokyo.
Okay, so that's really close to danger zone.
I don't
know about specifically Tokyo's numbers, but I guess it would also depend on where the Olympics are happening. So if it still happens in Tokyo, then if it's what if they still have some not good numbers there, and then people fly there, and then there's a risk of it re-spreading.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I hope that the 2021 Olympics still go on. That being said, I hope they go on safely. I don't want them just doing it because when schools reopen and when tournaments start picking up again, I think things in classes in schools are going to have to change too. Something will have to change for a while. I'm not sure what that landscape is going to look like for martial arts in both schools and tournaments. How are we going to keep doing this art that we love? That by definition, if you're doing this, a lot of times it requires being very physically close to someone, very very comfortable with being close to another person. Yeah. So it's going to have to be a thing that we consider now when we're doing martial arts. Is how can I do that in a safe, comfortable environment so that everyone feels like they're not going to get a dangerous virus. One thing though, for anyone listening, if you are a martial artist, or if you, maybe not to the degree that Sam and I are, we've been doing this for most of our lives, but if you are a student of a martial arts school, and maybe maybe your school isn't open right now, which probably isn't.
I hope it isn't.
I really hope. I unfortunately hope it isn't. It shouldn't be open right now.
If your school is open, you need a new school.
Yeah, but many schools are doing online courses like ours are. Lots of schools are doing Zoom classes or some kind of video class. I urge you to, if possible, keep paying your membership fees. Still do classes.
Thank you for listening to the High Frequency Kicks podcast. Remember to subscribe on your favorite streaming service and give us a like.